Hi guys and welcome to the channel. This one's just going to be another update on the U.S.A.C.C 1970 Plymouth group build. First and foremost, thank you to all the supporters of the channel, anybody who subscribed and commented, it's all greatly appreciated. If you're new to the channel, please check out some previous videos and I hope you subscribe as well. Channel's growing as always. We've been a bit busy on this one since the last video. It doesn't actually look like a great deal's been done, but there has been quite a lot of work into getting this conversion almost ready for primer. So I think where we left off, we'd pretty much built all the rear roof section up, and we'd put the posts in and what have you. And then we just needed to do a few more bits and pieces, or I thought a few more bits and pieces to start making it looking like that 4-door satellite. That's the police car we're going to be making this into. Front end, as always, we hadn't really done a great deal. Engine bay, I think the only thing I did was I'd raised, obviously everybody knows about this battery tower issues. All I ended up doing is just raise the sawing through that column, and then I just slid a bit of sheet styrene into there just to make it look like a battery tray. I don't think I'm going to take it much further than that, to be quite honest with you. I aren't too fussed about any more inaccuracies in the engine bay, to be honest. We've re-scribed out all the front window frame. That was quite faint on this particular model, whether it had been because it had been built before, and I don't know if the paint had filled up a little bit, but it didn't seem too deep, and because we put quite a bit of detail in elsewhere, I thought I'd re-scribe that. I was thinking of putting the rain channel in after I'd primed it, but just so it was easy to, once it's primed, to sand all this stuff down in here. And there's pros and cons to doing it before or after. But I was because I'm using super glue, and to be quite honest, once I start priming, I don't really want to start mucking about putting this trim detail in, and the glue does get everywhere, to be quite honest with you. So I thought this would be the best stage, just to, once it's glued and secured, and we can start sanding any glue residue out of this channel here. But that's starting to make just putting that in. I mean, that's just one solid piece of, again, this evergreen strip. To be honest, I mean, it's the only stuff I have. I need to really get to a shop, to be quite fair, and buy some more. I thought I had a few different shapes, but this is the only one I can find at the moment, and I'm absolutely useless with sizes, and and I think the problem is when I try looking at this stuff online, there's so much variation, and I could probably sort of work out on a ruler, but you can't really, for me anyway, because I'm a bit thick. I can't really work out exactly what stuff I actually want. So yeah, that's just one strip of strip styrene. All I did was, I mean, I did run some masking tape around here just to give me a bit of a visual, and also not to get glue all over the roof and what have you. So yeah, I'd sort of marked out with masking tape approximately where I wanted it to be. Just glued. I bent this A-pillar section first before I started attempting to glue it on. And then yeah, just run a line of super glue around here, and then just bent this corner down. I mean, you just have to do it, stick it down a bit at a time, and you might have to reapply glue, like I said in the previous video. But yeah, that's both sides done. So yeah, we got the rain channels in both sides. I had started to rescribe out the centre post. Obviously, we got the two door frames and the centre post. So that's starting to. In all fairness, I'm really glad I went ahead and just did it now. I think I was just again making excuses to put off, because this was the one of the jobs I really didn't want to do, to be quite fair. So, but yeah, rear window frame. We got the centre, or the window frame trim glued in now. I'm hoping it doesn't need too much work once we start priming, to be quite fair. I have tried to find sand as much as I can, but it's just getting to the point now where I'm probably sanding stuff which isn't there, or I'm seeing things what aren't there, and I'm probably missing bits which are there. So yeah, I think we definitely need to get some primer on it now. But at least with the window framing and the rain channel in there, drip rail, rain guard, whatever you want to call it, you know, that's pretty much there, ready to go. So yeah, we'd filled all the doors, the old two-door door line, and obviously what was left of that rear quarter panel vents. Obviously we've blocked that all down previously. Gone over all the doors again to rescribe and sharpen them up, get any dust out of there as well, because obviously it's had a lot of sanding. So yeah, that's pretty much done. I did nearly make a massive mistake, is when this has only taken 2 skims of filler like I thought it would do, and there isn't a great deal of filler in it, to be quite honest. The doors, I wanted to get the main door line and the vent kind of blended in one. But yeah, I started sanding down the first skim on this door. I mean, I'm just using two part Body Shop filler for plastics. You can't really mix too much up, and I think one skim you're probably mixing it little bits up for each area because it starts setting. But yeah, when I mixed it up for this door, I think I'd actually put a bit too much hardener in it. Now you'd think that putting too much hardener would make it just go off quicker, but with Body Shop filler, if you put too much hardener in it, it has the complete opposite effects and it just won't go off. And I was starting to sand it, and it wasn't feathering out. And I knew that, you know, there was something wrong with that mix of the filler. I mean, you're mixing so little amount, and to get the ratios you need, it's yeah, I could have carried on and lived with it, but you know, if you question yourself once, you know, you just get rid of, like, just do what you need to do to get it right. So I actually just ended up scraping off all the filler, because all that would have done is caused me no end of grief and sinkage in the future and stuff. So, but yeah, tail light panel, we just shaped out them rear tail lights to the way they're supposed to be, with the peak in the towards the centre for the satellites. To be quite honest, I've not even looked at pictures of real GTXs, but they're see if they're supposed to be square. But yeah, on the satellites, definitely they're supposed to peak into that, and you got a bit of a guideline. Monogram or Revel, whoever makes this now, is they do put a trim line around there, so you're not completely going blind. And I just used a sort of triangular file just to notch those out. So, but yeah, I mean, it's taken since the last video quite a while just to refine it all. I don't really want to start throwing primer on it until in my head, but it's like I say, at the point where I'm not doing myself any justice to throw primer on it. But I think we're almost there. At least with a coat of primer, I think we'll get to know what's just needs a bit of fettling. But yeah, that's pretty much done. The hood. Now, when I started looking at images on it, I think I mentioned it in the last video, this hood has a really, it's nothing like the GTX hood or what you get in the kit anyway. First of all, I just thought you've got these two swage lines, two feature lines either side that I had to create. But when I was looking at the pictures, that's not the end of the story, because not only does it dip down a little bit in the front, and it has a feature line down the middle, but it almost has to go up from this angle to meet the feature line. It's not just a feature line down the middle. It's a really complex shape, to be quite honest. Obviously, first thing we had to do was cut out the original Roadrunner GTX hood scoop. So, and because it's hollow, you know, it's pretty much useless. So we couldn't even lower it down into the hole just to level it out. So we put a strip of styrene in there first of all, sanded that flush with the hood, with the original hood, and then I measured, I think it was 5mm in here. I've just taped, used some Tamiya tape, 5mm in either side, and just started trying to sort of carve or shape this hood a little bit, so we got some of them feature lines showing. Then I added another strip of that styrene sheets, this stuff again. But I didn't glue it flat. I glued it so you got more material in the middle. Started to shape that a little bit, made it more flat towards the back so it meets up with a scuttle panel or a cowl, whatever you want to call it. And then I've just started filling it and sort of sanding it up. So I think there's a bit more work to do on the front before I throw some primer on this, but yeah, I just started to sort of block sand it up against the centre feature line. So I think that's going to sort of start giving us our shape really, and I think, like I say, once I've just finished off a little bit more, I'm going to throw some primer on this shortly. So I think what I'll do is I'll most likely use some filler primer first. I might just give it one coat of this. I'm not too sure yet. I'll see what it looks like after one coat. If there's areas I think it needs a second coat, I probably will give it a second coat. But if I don't think it needs it, then we'll just leave it as it is. But yeah, I think that's pretty much where we need it to be for now. Like I say, it's looking now like a 4-door. With all that work to the back of the roof. So yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll just throw some prime on it, put another little clip at the end of this, and then we'll close the video off. So we'll see you in a minute. Right then, well, welcome back, and that was probably a couple of seconds for you, but unfortunately it's about a week later since that last clip. I was starting to feel pretty poorly that day when I was feeling that. You might have picked it up in the video. But yeah, after that clip, I threw some of the filler primer on it, a couple of coats of filler primer, and then all hell broke loose with me health. It was just like a common cold, but it hit me quite bad. Nose was running so bad I nearly had to call out a plumber. So I'm just starting to feel myself again now. It's Friday the 17th. So yeah, we've lost a week really of building in total. Just not being up to it at all. But so yesterday I just started feeling a little bit better. Decided, to sit back at the bench and start doing a bit more work. Like I said in the last clip, it really did need some primer on it to find out what was needed. Like I said, I knew there'd be things which I'd missed, and there's other things I may have wanted to put a bit more filler in, but it didn't really need it. It just needed a bit of filler primer and blocking. So I think this just needs its final prep for paint now. Like I say, I started off with the yellow filler primer, and then we're giving it a couple of coats. Once we got all that fettled out, give it a couple of coats of grey primer. Like I say, I'll give it a prep for final paint. What I might do on this one is just go over with the Tamiya Fine White just to base it up again, just in case I've gone through anywhere. I'm not too sure yet. I think that's the next step, and it certainly won't be in this video. So yeah, there's a few things which I picked out on once we got some of that filler primer, and there was just a touch of a low spot in this door. I knew that because we couldn't get really into this too much, and I didn't want to carry on sanding it. There was a little bit of a low spot where the original door line was on that, so we just put a bit more filler in there, corrected that. But yeah, we just rear window, that was probably where I needed to put more work into at the time. I did notice it didn't look uniform around here at all, so we just had to go in with a bit more filler and level that out a bit. I was a little bit worried because I thought we'd start losing the window trim surround. I mean, I can't even get it to focus at the moment, but we managed just to scribe that back out again once we had a bit more filler in it, and it's the camera isn't really picking up on it at all, but there's certainly enough to sort of be a guide for the chrome foil whenever that happens. Yeah, we looked at the rear lights in the last clip, but yeah, I mean, it didn't need a great deal. There was just a couple of little bits and pieces, and like I said, I knew the prime would show up a few things I hadn't seen, and out of all the prep I've done on this and the amount of times I've looked at this model throughout the stages, there's things like because it was built as a beta before, I think they'd use like glue down here as to simulate rust or something, and yeah, I completely missed that. But I was paying so much attention to all the conversion, what we were doing to convert it to a 4-door, that you do just miss little bits like that. So that's why it's good to just get a bit of primer on it, see where you stand. But yeah, I mean, that's really coming out now. But I'm really pleased with that, to be quite honest with you. The hood was another thing we needed. It's got me fingerprints all over it. But you might just start to see that contour I was talking about now. It's all in primer. And once I primed up, it was like I had one side absolutely perfect. Yeah, this side was, perfect, really refined, defined feature line on the side, and it arched up to the centre exactly how I wanted it. And then this side, this feature line one wasn't as defined, and there wasn't enough filler in. Almost like this side just goes straight up, and this side had a bit of a ramp to it, so we just added a bit more filler into this side, and we've got all that uniform now. But yeah, I thought I've got this thing. It looks like quite a nice built model. I mean, I didn't do it. It's got some flaws in it and what have you. Whoever built it before, there's quite a lot of paint flaws in it, but it does display like quite nice. I've completely forgot I had this, to be quite honest, but I was just wondering if I had something to do some comparisons with. This unfortunately might be destined to be chopped up again, I'm afraid. Like I say, really nice build, but yeah, it's nothing I would probably display or anything. Yeah, I think things like that, I mean, you could probably flat and polish, but anyway, by the by. Just put that down for a second. So yeah, the other thing I forgot to mention, I did cut off these, not because there's anything wrong with them at all. I quite like the way it fitted into the car with these things on. But with the amount of sanding we needed to do on this, you don't want to have that flexing when you're doing so much sanding with these. So you want this flat on the bench as much as you can, so you can block all this out. But yeah, from what we started with and what we finished with, that's quite a nice rend. To be quite honest, I'm quite surprised with myself. And it's a good thing about YouTube is, if I was just building this for myself, I don't think I would have taken it as far as I have to make things as correct as I could do. I think I would have probably just been happy with this as a flat roof, a flat hood with and just put a strip of styrene down the middle to simulate a centre feature line. But I mean, like I said, there wasn't much left of the original hood. We used really the outer frame, and then everything else was shaped into it. It was like I say, we sanded that down, put the feature, like the peak, in the middle, and got all that to rise up in the middle like it should do. And to be quite honest, if I was to get that in a kit, I'd be quite happy with it. So yeah, so quite a bit of work's gone into that hood. This was another job like the rain channels I was putting off, because once I started looking at how it should be, it was like a bit of a daunting task. But just take things one step at a time. You work out your problems, you work out how you're going to get to one, how you're going to get the shape of it, and that's ended up quite a nice hood as that. So yeah, like I say, I thought I'd just pull this one out just to sort of show you where we've got to. So like the side of the vehicle, obviously you can see the difference in that roof shape now. It's much more upright on the back. It's a little bit longer, but all this was done using the original kit. We've not had to bust into any other kits to use the roofs. And like I say, I mean, my way of doing it isn't necessarily the way you might want to do it if you decide to take on one of these. But what I've done with this one's easily you know, you could do this with a like an AMT 70 Coronet, or you know, one of the 68, 69 Roadrunners. They've all pretty much got the same roof, and the 4-doors, you know, they all had pretty much the same 4-door roof as well. So it's so you can use the method on other kits, not just the ones with this particular one. And you could probably use the same method with non-Mopar kits, you know, other 4-door conversions. You know, it's just a case of, I think somebody commented in the last video, he was wanting to do a, I should have looked at the name before I recorded, it just pops into my head then, but that nice chap was, I think he was building a Chevelle to replicate his brother's one. He didn't know whether he's quite there with the skills yet, but like, I mean, I think if you go into it and you want to create a, if you got it in your mind, you want to create a replica from the start, you're going to end up spending either months on it, and you're not going to enjoy it, because there's certain things you do have to compensate for when you're working in scale. And if you're going in with that you want to build it exactly how the factory put it out, then you're not going to enjoy it. So I think my advice was that is you just, you know, I'm not a massive experienced builder at all. You know, like I say, I've been away from the hobby for a good few years now. It's a long time since I've tried any conversion, and I mean, all I do, I mean, sometimes just sitting at the bench doesn't help either. You know, if you're working on something, I've just, like, the amount of times I've just taken this away from the bench, had it next to the sofa, and every time it just pops into your mind, you just pick it up and then you start looking over things, just working out what you maybe want to do the next day, or you sort of figuring out in your head how to work out little issues and what have you. But so yeah, I mean, it looks quite different. We've obviously taken them side vents out. You know, I think it looks like a much cleaner quarter panel now without them anyway. It's kind of why I like the base model cars, because, you know, sometimes I think you can, I just prefer the styling, that's all. So yeah, the rear window, you can sort of see the difference in the shape there, but we still managed to get it looking right, the way it curves up to that rear window. We got the rear roof buttresses on this conversion flowing into them feature lines on the rear quarter panels, them upper feature lines, like they're supposed to do. So even though we've had to cut this roof and move it back a bit and raise the rake, you know, it's still, I think, I mean, if I had months and months to build and not weeks, like is the case with this, you know, I might have taken it a bit further. But if I was to buy this as a resin body, I don't think I'd be displeased, to be quite honest with you. I think, yeah, I've seen a lot worse resin bodies, to be quite honest with you. And would you get the same satisfaction from building a resin body rather than having something which is all styrene? You know, this is, you know, I've been, don't get me wrong, there's been moments where, you know, if I was to record as I was doing it, you know, it just wouldn't be suitable for YouTube. But yeah, I mean, you just get a bit more satisfaction out of trying this yourself, and it does make it easier using all built-up kits, because if you do make a mistake, you're not wasting a $40 kit. You know, you watch all these videos of shows and swap meets and you know, you see these builders for $5 and $10 and stuff like that, and you're just thinking, the amount of times you see stuff you want to buy because it's obviously more expensive over in the UK. But yeah, I mean, even like I said, starting with builders isn't a bad thing, because you if you if you mess it up, then it's not the end of the world. So it's just like I say, a case of working stuff out. And I'm really, to be quite honest, I'm really pleased with this one now. I'm pleased I've spent a little bit of extra time on it. I think we're certainly not out of the woods yet. We've got to do that tricky paint job around here. But I'm quite confident in rain channels. That the amount of handling I've done and sanding since the last clip, they're definitely there to stay. So, but it's just getting that paint right, and then we've got to probably build a light bar. I do have a bag of police stuff, but I think it's all. I was thinking of just using the U.S.A.C.C Plymouth Fury light bar, but I don't think that'll be long enough, and it just looks a little bit too small anyway, the framework on it. So we'll probably end up building a light bar using parts from that 68 Fury, but sort of scale it up to 124 so it doesn't look under scale on this. The ride height on these excuse me, the ride height on these is I always think on this one it isn't too bad, but I always think that it's just a little bit too high. So I'm gonna have to lower it down a bit. I think the only issue with when you lower it down, these tyres are really close to the fenders, and so I think I'll probably want to just tuck them in a little bit as well, just so we got a bit of a better stance on it. Looks a bit jacked up as well in the rear on when you build these out of the box. But yeah, I mean, so like I say, I think what I'm going to do with this one now is I think in the next day or so I'll just finish off prepping this for paint. I'll probably throw some white or cream. I've got this Fiat white. It's like an off-white, which is the colour I want. It's like a creamy white on this particular car. Found an engine. We got I did have a spare engine. I had in a bag for I think I've got a couple for the 70 GTX Roadrunners, so we should be all right for that. But yeah, we've got to detail up the interior. We've pretty much got the rest of the kit to build. I'm still not knowing what to do about the hubcaps yet, because I'd looking at them, the two which I managed to save off the original Roadrunner build, the hubcaps, which is the reason I used that one. I don't even think I'll get a good cast off them, to be quite honest with you. So somebody kindly mentioned Fireball resins do them, and they got some real, and thanks for that comment. They've got some really great stuff, but just being with the UK and the time frame, and the issues with the posts we're having over here at the moment, it's I just don't want to risk waiting that long to up until the last minute to get the wheels. I'll certainly use them in the future, but I'm already worried a little bit about the decals I ordered. We're going to be, because I can't, even if I get the two-tone paint job done, I can't clear coat it until I have the decals, and I can bare metal foil it, but yeah, it's gonna take a. I'm just hoping that comes in time. So I mean, I did think cool. I've got some parts from the Lindbergh Dodge A100. The hubcaps in there, the older style ones. Worst case scenario, I might end up using them. But I'm not too sure yet. Yeah, if I'm really just putting off buying another kit and robbing the wheels out, the hubcaps out of it. So we'll see what we do with that. But yeah, I've gassed on another 20 minutes, so this is going to probably be a 40-minute video by the time we're done. But yeah, on that note, you probably won't see another update on this for another week anyway. I've got the small scale challenge, small scale group build hosted by Sean, the scale model car guy channel, and BG. And I do want to get that one done, and I do want to do a good job of it. I mean, it's like I say, it's the 17th February now. I probably won't get on it till Sunday, but you know, the chance of that being built box stock is out of the question now, because that Cortina is an absolute mess, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, Sean's been a massive supporter of the channel. Really, you know, so I do want to get that one done. As you know, it's just a bit of a thank you for all his support, and you know, that was out of all the group builds I've watched over the years, the U.S.A.C.C and the small scale were the two which I'd always wanted to get into. So yeah, we'll start on that. I've only got pretty much 10 days to get that one finished, and probably end up chopping that one up a little bit as well to detailing it up to make a bit of a nicer model. So, and I'll just work on this one in the side on the sides. So yeah, once again, thanks to everybody who supported the channel. There's again a lot of names I've not mentioned, and I do apologise for everybody who shouted out and shouted the channel out for me. I will need to do a video where I'm, you know, saying thank you to all them people, yeah, Model Mars Garage, Model Restoration, everybody who's supported the channel. It's just, at the moment, I'm still getting me internet issues, and it's all about just trying to get a video out to keep the channel going at the moment. So yeah, it's either that or I'm just not going to have time, and it's just stressing me out a little bit. It's all this internet stuff at the moment. So yeah, with that said, we might give you an update on I was planning on doing a full build on the full restoration video, start to finish, on the Cortina. We might do an update in the next day or so. In fact, we've got probably a 2-part series. I've just bought some nice stuff from an auction, so and I think there's about 30 kits, so I'll probably split that into 2 videos. But there's some nice rare old stuff in them, so please keep an eye out for them over the weekend. I think I'll put one of them up on Saturday and one of them up on Sunday. So yeah, with that said, thanks again to everybody, and we will see you in the next video. See you, bye.